DisJointed Productions.
Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the DisJointed Podcast. This is the podcast where we ask the question, what does it take to go from a 9-to-5 life to one of creativity? You've got your day job, you want to do something different with your life. You want to be either a comic, a painter, a musician and stuff. How the hell do you get from point A to point B? So I talk with a lot of folks who've been doing exactly that. This week we got a returning champ. Be new to you guys, for all of your new Twitch listeners out there, Anthony Armstrong. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Dude, it's been like, what, a year, right?
I think it's been a year. About a year.
That was weird. And then after that, I know you've been on Use Your Words a couple of times, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, if you haven't smoked enough weed lately, just go on that show. Just the contact buzz alone, man. They're the only guys I know that, like, Jake and Bear will just do dabs back and forth the entire time.
I don't see how they do it. Man, Bear's always high.
Yeah.
Bear, I haven't seen Bear sober yet.
I don't know if I want to, man. It's suddenly like he comes back, he's wearing a suit and tie, he's all clean shaven. It's like, guys, how are we doing today? And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck, man? But
yeah, man. But it was a fun podcast, though.
I'm glad that you were on it because I kept telling anybody who had a podcast, I'm like, man, if you haven't had Anthony Armstrong on, why the fuck not? Because,
well, you know me, man. You know I say stuff that makes people uncomfortable, so you know how it is out here in Denver.
Never even heard about that.
Shit. Do you not follow me on Facebook?
Oh, no, I see. As you're late at night, I'm like, all right, what's it? Yep, okay. That was good, okay. Yeah, it was so funny because they were, me and, I'll say a friend who shall remain nameless, we were talking about, like, the comedy scene kind of starting to censor itself a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, and man. I'm like, okay, if that's what you guys want to do, but I don't know. But it's so funny because, like, on Facebook, you know, everybody will be up in arms, and you know who I never see them say anything about any of the jokes is yours. It's kind of like, and there was a bit you were working on. I don't know if you ever got to, we're talking about domestic violence and stuff, and I'm like, oh, really? I wonder what these guys think about, they're not saying shit about Anthony Armstrong's set. Huh. Gee, I wonder why.
Man. Dude, they just jokes, man. People take this stuff so seriously, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, I don't know what it is. It's like, now people are pushing me to that point to where it's like, now I just want to see what can I get away with. You know? Now it's just like, what can I, to make stuff like that funny, you have to be a good writer.
Yeah.
You know, you have to know yourself. You have to know the audience. It has to be written well. So there's a lot goes into the type of material that I do. You know what I'm saying? And it has some truth to it. It is like an uncomfortable truth.
It's not like you're just going out there and like, I'll just riff for like a half hour and see if something comes fun, you know.
Yeah, sometimes I do that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the best material is just that stuff that's trapped in your brain that you just need to talk it out and get it out. I do that at Devon's a lot, man. I always like to go there and have fresh material, so I'll go there and I just got this premise. Let me see if I can't talk it out into a joke.
Oh yeah, Devon's is an interesting mic because there's like last night I was there for like maybe 5 minutes just because I wanted to say hi. I've been working all day and shit. Either way, I had no excuses. But the main reason I didn't want to do a set is because like I didn't have anything new that I wanted to work out, and Devon's is one of those places that. Yeah, there'll be like 8 or 10 people like from the bar patrons who are listening, and like I think they remember the shit that you did the week before.
It's the same crowd every week,
dude.
Which is kind of good, kind of bad because it forces. Because I write at least one new joke every week just to do at Devon's, right. So it forces me to have new material, and then I think Devon's they're tough but they're fair.
Yeah, like
if you're funny, they'll laugh, but if you're not funny, they not give you.
Yeah. Like they'll quiet down a little bit just to listen to the comic and stuff. But they also, you know, what's so interesting about this, and this big props to Crawford as well as to Bear who runs it occasionally, is that that crowd now knows what good comedy and bad comedy is. Mm-hmm. You know. Because usually most crowds are like, okay, if it's funny, I'll laugh, but if it isn't funny, these guys have now gotten to the point where they can appreciate when a comic is actually working on something, and when somebody's just fucking around, they'll be like, oh, fuck you, you know?
They know what it is. Exactly. That's what I like, because, I mean, you and I were comics, so we know bad jokes when we hear them. Yeah. Typically, the audience doesn't know a bad joke. If it's funny, if it's something that makes them laugh, that's funny. And we're like, that's a terrible joke. So and a lot of times, a comic will tell a great joke, and the audience just won't laugh and like, that is hilarious. You know what I'm
exactly. It's like, you know what you did up there.
That's one thing I like about comedy. I can appreciate a person's joke even if it doesn't make me laugh. Right. I can say that's a well-written joke. That joke just isn't for me.
Right.
You know, it has its audience. That just isn't for me.
I always tell folks who are kind of new, like, oh, I like comedy, but I don't know. Like, comedy's like music. Just because you like Wu-Tang doesn't mean you're going to like speed metal. Just because you like classical music doesn't mean you're going to like jazz. There's so many different types of comedy out there. You know?
You're right. There are different types of comedy.
So just to say, like, if somebody says, oh, I like music, like all music, and like, and to say, let's say one particular type of music, oh, that's not music to me. I'm like, yeah, it is. It is music. You just don't like it. You know?
Difference with comedy and music is that if you go to a bad music show, it's still music.
Yeah.
You go to a bad comedy show, that is just terrible, man. It is an awkward feeling to see someone just bomb horribly on stage. It makes everybody feel awkward, man.
Yeah.
Whereas music, it's not that bad. It's like, I don't really like this band, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's still music.
Oh, man. I when I went there last night, I don't even know the guy. I think he was a new guy, but apparently he just had the worst set, one of the worst sets in the history of Devon's.
It was a couple of them last night. Man, I'm just like, oh, my God, this is... Yeah, you just got to figure it out, man. I think a lot of people... This is what I've seen is that a lot of people want to follow like the whole PC thing. They don't want to offend people. They don't want to say the wrong thing. And that may not be you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people that's trying to do stuff to be safe, but you can't. That's not what comedy is. Comedy is telling your truth. So if you're just this person that likes to say fucked up shit, you need to learn how to make that funny because that's who you truly are.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You can almost see it in a lot of people, but you know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I've seen a lot of folks, they're kind of, there's this awesome like drama that's going on and that was going on in LA. I don't know if you know who Ty Rivera is, but he's got a podcast called Unbother, and yes, I do want to get him on the show, which is why I'm plugging his shit. But he's a Latino gay comic, but he's insanely funny, but he is insanely brutal. Like insanely fucking brutal to the point that there was people who were trying to get him kicked off an LGBT show because they called him homophobic and racist.
And he's gay. But that's what they do, though, man.
Yeah, it's the absurdity of it.
This is my thing. I don't hate on motherfuckers. It's people out there that they do comedy, and I'm just like, I don't necessarily get along with them personally, but I'm not going to say you're a bad comic just because I don't get along with you personally. If you're funny, and I'm going to give you your props. I just don't fuck with you personally. You know, but it seems like now, it's like if they don't agree with what you say, they try to push you out.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't understand that. Like, just, if you don't agree with what I say, that's fine. You don't have to, but why are you trying to push me out the scene?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I always wondered if they ever had any brothers and sisters growing up. Because I've got, I got my younger sister and then 5 brothers, right? Older brothers. Love those guys dearly. I don't agree with everything that they think. Yeah. I don't agree with everything that they say. Sometimes we argue, but they're still, that doesn't mean just because they don't agree with something. I mean, it has to be like a lot of things before I stop talking to them.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I've got friends who I don't agree with everything that they do, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be their friend, man. It's like you got to accept people for what they are. But
we're living in a society today to where it's like if you don't agree with everything a person says, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
In their eyes,
I'm like, wow. So do we get to like a bunch of
you can see it on Facebook, man. You can see a person post something, and somebody will say something against them, and they'll attack that person. But you put a public post out there for the public to put their input into it, and you're mad at someone that doesn't agree with what you said? I never understand that.
Like I said, they must. I wonder if they were just all only children. You don't understand. You're not always going to get your way, right?
I don't know. But I think it's an ego thing, and then social media is really affecting people's egos even more. You know what I'm saying? It's like usually back in the day before you were connected to everybody. You had small groups that you rolled in. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like we're connected to everybody, so you can find people that think exactly like you out there, and you can just shut everybody else out.
Yeah.
Which is a bad thing, because when you only mess with people that believe what you believe, that's ignorance.
Yeah.
So you need to have that diversity in thought.
It's kind of like going to only the one mic that you do well at.
Exactly. Exactly. You won't go to the other one, but you go to this one.
Yeah, you'll crush at that one mic, man, but you're not like, no, I'm a great comic. No, you're not, because you haven't learned how to perform in front of many different types of people. So it's like you're limited. It's kind of,
So a lot of people don't understand, man, it's like comedy changes as you go across America, man. Like a joke that works here may not work in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a different group of people, different upbringing, different backgrounds. So you have to tell your jokes to different groups of people to see if it's really a good joke, because you can't just determine it off of that one group of people out here in Denver. You need to go to Wyoming, Oklahoma, Chicago, and tell those same jokes and see if you get the same response you get them here.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you because it seemed like you've been doing a lot of traveling over the past year, right?
Yeah.
That was one of those things, if there's ever a reason that, like, well, I don't go out to too many, you don't see me in too many mics, but the reason why I do go out to the few that I do is because I'll see these posts, and I'm like, well, let's see, where's Armstrong at? He's performing? Fuck, I need to get out and do more mics. God damn it. And one of the things that I admire so much, not to blow smoke up your ass, but your work ethic when you're just going out, like, you're taking chances. Like, I don't know if you know anybody in these towns. You're like, I'm just going to go out there and see what happens. Or
yeah, I just if I see the opportunity, if I see somebody like, hey, I'm booking a show, hey man, put me on the show. Yeah. Because right now this is practice to me, man. This is me trying to get to the next level. So I do any and everything. I'm not in it for the money. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do comedy full time and make it about the money, and then it becomes stressful. Then it's like, I need to make a living off of this, so I need to do this, I need to do that. I don't want to do it like that right now. I want to get as good as I can, so when I am at that level to where I feel like I can make that crossover to doing it full time, I'm ready. Yeah. And it won't be any doubt. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. So I do anything and everything that I'm able to do. Wow.
What was it, where all have you been over the past couple of months, out of curiosity?
Couple of months. I did a private show in Zanesville, Ohio. I performed at Zanies in Chicago.
How was a private show? How was the private show?
It was weird because, first of all, we weren't in Zanesville, Ohio. We were somewhere else. So what happened was it was a class reunion. Okay. And something happened to where the people that were throwing a class reunion to school, they like embezzled the money or something for like all these programs and stuff. So they didn't have any money. So the people got together and said, we're gonna put one on ourselves. Cool. And I knew one of the guys. He knew I did comedy. He's like, hey, we need some entertainment. I'll fly you out. I'll put you up. You know what I'm saying? You come out and do this, right? So I went out there, and it wasn't a lot of people that was going to the reunion. So what they did is they linked up with this other lady that was throwing the Memorial Day party because it was that Memorial Day weekend. Right. And so we had it at her place, which was like way out in the boonies. Zanesville is in the boonies. This was in the boonies. Shit. Right? Like no phone reception, nothing, but it was beautiful. Right. It was like it was off a lake, and they had, you can go get in the boat, everything, big old nice space, but it was outside. It was outside, and then it's like we were in a garage where they had all the equipment, and then it's like the crowd was like 20, 30 feet like back that way, and then they were like spread out in these groups. So, and I'm a really engaging person, so I like to engage the crowd, and that was rough for me. Yeah. So I just had to tell straight material, which I really haven't done in a really long time. Yeah. But it worked out. They enjoyed it, so it turned out pretty well. But that's like I'm saying, I like to do stuff like that to put myself in those situations. So if I come across that in a professional setting, well, okay, I've done this before here, to where it's not really going to impact the way people look at me. To where if somebody, a producer says, hey, do this in front of me and see how you do, then I can perform because I've done it.
Oh man, I've had it's weird if you like comedy. You never don't think about that, about like the space between you and the audience being that important. But I remember there was like this benefit show that they were doing at Mile High Comics about a year or so ago, and so the band was so far away from where the seats were, and we were basically trying to do our sets while the next band was getting ready. And yeah, it's like 20 feet away, and you're just like screaming, "Hey, did you guys ever notice?" When they're not paying attention, because like, hey,
the thing about live performances, when people come to see that, they're coming to make some type of connection with the artist, right? They want to make some type of connection on some level. So if you put them way back there, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, like I could just sit there and watch this on YouTube. Yeah. Why the fuck am I here?
Exactly. Music is kind of cool because it's music. You can dance down to it, but comedy is more like it's more engaging than the music. But even music, you still want to kind of be around the artist.
You want to feel it. You want to get,
Yeah, you want to be right next to the speakers. You want to feel the music.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. So, let's see. Ohio. There were Chicago. What's Chicago like? Because I've been thinking about
Man, Zanies was off the chain.
Really?
Man, we went out there. We had a full bar in the back, food, everything. You know what I'm saying? They treat the comics right out there. That was dope.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a beautiful club.
I'm getting all choked up, and I'm like, they had a place just for the comics?
Man, it's starting to see a little bit of the good side of it, You do enough, man, but like I say, I'm just pushing forward, man. I'm thinking about making that jump to out to New York next year.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm kind of gearing up to do that. That's kind of on my mind. It's not set in stone yet, but if the opportunity arises and everything's right at that point, then I'm going. So
yeah, I was kind of contemplating like if I could find a way just to spend like a week out there trying to hit up every mic that I can.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do sometime before the winter. I'm going to go out there for a week. I got some contacts out there that I've met. So I know I can get on shows and do some things out there, but I do want to go out there and just experience that in New York. Because, I mean, that's if you don't know, New York is where you go when you're ready to do it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you're ready to get on, that's where you go out there and you really put your talents against some of the best comics in the country. So,
yeah, I'm gearing up for that. It's so weird now because now, like, I'm trying to get to the point of, as far as, like, the whole comedy career is actually trying to turn it into a career, which is... like trying to learn about promoting and stuff. Nick Gossard was here earlier. We were talking about that and stuff. And that guy's he loves promoting. He is all about, getting stuff. He's the only, I always say that he's the only showrunner in Denver that gets pissed off if he only has 200 people show up to his event. Everybody else are trying to get 5 people that aren't related to the comics in some way, and you're like, oh. And, but now it's kind of like, all right, I'm trying to get out of town and like to see if he gets like developing tracks and stuff or loops and everything like that to start doing these little tours and shit with. It's weird now, like, it's different with the first year or two when you're just doing comedy and you're like, oh, just trying to figure out what's funny. Now you're like, all right, I know I got at least this much time. Let me try to put this with something else and see if we can go out there and, at least break even at this point, because we're still getting better.
And what I've noticed is that you do better outside of where you started. Because a lot of times people are always going to look at you as an open mic comic because that's what they first seen you as. When you go out of town, it's like you're new to these people. And, you know what I'm saying, if you're unique, you're doing something they've never seen before. So they're going to like you a lot better than someone that's seen you from when you started, because some people just would never give you your props. I don't care how good you get. So a lot of people base how they feel about you about how other people look at you. Like if other people say, oh my God, he's great, then they're like, oh yeah, he's great. But they won't give you your props just up front for some reason. I don't know what's up with people,
I remember when you first started, okay? And I remember that first joke that ate shit.
Yeah, I remember that time you bombed 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago.
Guess what? You're still bombing through that's... No, man, I just crushed in there. Oh, no. Like, no, seriously, I did. I know. One of the things I've been wanting to do is go back to Phoenix. Just because that's where I started, but I've put way more time in Denver than I have in Phoenix. So at this point, I'm like, no, I actually got more than just one joke now, dickhead. Like, fuck, put me on some shit. But yeah, what was there seems to be like you kind of switch gears a little bit. I would say probably about a year ago. I know it's because where you were working like a graveyard shift job.
I still work.
Okay,
man. People don't understand how much I do behind the scenes, man. I work a full-time job. I drive Lyft. I also have a radio show that comes on it's a All Real Radio app. It's based out of Houston. Comes on Sunday nights. I do that. Then I also help my friends book shows. I produce flyers. I do video editing. I do all sorts of stuff.
Everything except sleep, apparently, right?
Man, I get it where I can, man. It's like this. I think everybody.
When you're driving for Lyft, that's when I catch my
I only do it on the weekends. I'm off on the weekends, so I drive on Lyft. Because it takes money to fuel a dream, you know what I'm saying? So I don't have any kids. I'm not married, so I'm just using all that to my advantage right now. And I'll sacrifice the sleep and the partying and all that stuff now just so I can do it later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to make this dream a reality. And you have to be focused and you have to be willing to say, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, I got to work on this, I got to work on that. And it does get boring because a lot of people, like I say, when you're an ambitious person, a regular person thinks you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because you're putting off all this other stuff and you're working. And they're like, oh, you need to have fun. You do this. I'm like, well, I will have fun eventually, but let me work this out first so I can get to a higher level. And you know what I'm saying? And then hopefully
if you're enjoying your time too, like if you're enjoying what you're doing, then it's not work.
That's another thing about comedy. I enjoy performing so much. And I think a lot of people don't like to perform. I think they perform because I think this is what I've noticed. A lot of people perform because it's a way to be social.
Okay.
They're just using it as a social space. They don't really want to evolve as a comic. They don't want to do anything with comedy. They're just doing it because it's a good way to make friends and be around people, whereas otherwise they wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these motherfuckers are weirdos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't even know how to talk to you when they out. And you're like, damn, motherfucker, how you a comic?
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't know how to interact with people, you know? It's weird.
Just show it. Yeah. You know, it's weird. I try not to be too judgmental because I love being judgmental. But it's, you see like somebody who's like so unbelievably awkward. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like, because it's not entertaining. Well, I mean, it's entertaining in the fact of watching somebody squirm. You know, actually, where I was wrong about this, though, I'll check myself on this. Remember Quentin?
Yeah.
Okay. One painful fucking set after another for the first couple of months that I saw that guy, right? Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, like to the point where I'm like, I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. He's up because I've already seen him like tank so many times. Mm-hmm. But then he turns this corner when you're like, oh, holy shit, no, there is something there. And
was that time when he was at
I think it was in Devon's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just something clicked where everything was.
You know what it is? He went unscripted. Yeah. He got into his feelings and his emotions, and what he really wanted to say, he said it. Mm-hmm. And that was funny. That pure, raw emotion was funny.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times you notice he's really scripted. He's trying to remember his jokes. Mm-hmm. He's fumbling over his words because he's so nervous instead of just being comfortable, having confidence. Confidence is so important in comedy. That's what a lot of people understand. You have to have confidence because the audience can sense if you're confident about what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, they're not going to back you up. They'll be like, oh, you don't even believe what you're saying, so why should I believe it? You know?
Exactly.
And a lot of times that's what a lot of people are just lacking, just the confidence. You're telling good jokes. You just don't have the confidence to back the joke up.
True. Like, especially if it's as like a weird... I've noticed that too, even just in my own shit, where I'm like, yeah, man, I needed to stand by that joke a lot more than I did, you know, and then before I finally actually, like, okay, because if the audience doesn't see what I'm seeing, it's because I'm not...
You're not giving them an accurate depiction of what you're trying to...
Yeah.
I always blame myself. If I have a bad show, I'm like, okay, I could have did this, I could have did that. Because a lot of times what people understand is that it's not the joke you're telling, it's how you package it. And that's how I get away with saying a lot of shit I say, because I package it a certain way. I package it to let you know this is just a joke.
Yeah.
It's just a joke. You don't have to be offended by this, you know? And I get to say a lot of shit.
Well, you got to, I mean... your persona on stage and off stage are pretty much almost identical, you know. But the thing is, you're always kind of like kind of a jovial guy, like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" You know. It's
I'm a cool guy. Yeah. I'm a happy dude. I'm not like a.
That would be weird if you go up and you're just like super like serious and try to do like the most angry way possible. But yeah, that was a beautiful night watching that Quentin Johnson like turn that corner when it finally clicked. And
but that's the thing, everybody, because a lot of times I think comics get into it and they want to be a certain way, but that's not the way they're supposed to be. So they fight against it for so long, and then eventually they just give in, and that's when they become a good comic. When they finally just say, "Okay, this is who I am. Let me put this out there," versus this person I want to try to be.
Oh yeah, I think it's the same thing with music to a certain extent. Like I learned how to play a couple chords on the guitar because I love heavy metal, all right? Mm-hmm. And I want to learn how to fucking play and just shred like, you know, freaking every one of my rock gods that I prayed to ever since I was a kid. The music that came out was this really, really sappy, folky shit. And I'm like, this isn't the kind of music that I like, man, but the kind of music that I ended up writing for the like year or two that I was doing it was all shit that I like, okay, I guess this is what I sound like, but, you know, it's really bizarre sometimes, you know what I mean? But yeah, I guess I don't know if I've come to that point with comedy yet. I think I've got a handle on it, but who knows if things might change. You just gotta let your senses guide your way. Because I used to get out there and just whatever popped in my head. It's okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna write a joke about this. I'm gonna write a joke about this. And eventually, my voice came to me. It's like, okay, I mean, it was literally like a wake up, like, I got it. I know what it is. And once you figure out what your voice is and what your persona is comedically, the writing just never stops, because now you can take any situation and you can write a joke in your voice because you know what it is now, and versus instead of just trying to write stuff and see if it's funny. You know, I can almost take any subject and I know my voice and I can do something that is conducive to me and make it funny now. That's, you know, it's really, that reminds me of so I think it was on Crawford's podcast when he had Nathan Lund on. It was like one of the first earlier episodes. But Nathan Lund had a really good way of explaining it, where it says it's like if you were studying Spanish the way you're not going to really be able to speak it until you start thinking in Spanish, you know, and he said comedy is the same way. Eventually you're going to start thinking in comedy.
Exactly.
And, yeah, that's really, luckily, like Jenny, my poor wife, she understands us, but she knows that, like, sometimes I'm just riffing. I'm like in the car constantly trying to process something and try to find something that's funny and whatever. And, kind of brings me another question I was going to ask you as far as like creative process goes. You started a writing group?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always work on Sundays. That's why I've never tried to go there. But I heard like
because you got this is what I understand is that when I write a joke, I understand that I'm writing a joke for an audience. So, and I try to think in multiple directions, but it's not really feasible for me to think that I know what everyone else is thinking. So I bring in different people, and now you can give me tags. You can tell me what you think about this joke. So now I can change it before I go on stage. Right. And now it seems like I've kind of given it to a little audience already with the writing group, and now I can see if this works on a broader scale. And this helped me. It's helped me a lot, man. Like I've got some great tags, come up with some great jokes. We've all just kind of really we don't do it consistently like we should, but we've all benefited from it.
Well, I know Hamill, his stuff started changing. I noticed a subtle change in stuff when he started.
This is what I tell Hamill. Hamill has the jokes. His persona is off. His persona doesn't match his jokes.
Oh, really? I always think...
I don't think...
I think it needs to go angrier.
That's what I told him. Yeah. You need to be the asshole, because your jokes are like asshole. This is some shit an asshole would say.
Yeah.
But you get on stage, and it's kind of like you pull back some when you're talking about stuff, and people start to pull back from you. You pull back from them instead of just going down to their throat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As long as you know that you can make it funny, it's okay. I like that. I like that awkward silence where you just saying some real fucked up shit because I know I got the punchline that's gonna make you laugh.
Right.
The more awkward I can make it, the bigger the laugh will be at the end once I hit you with the punchline.
Oh, yeah.
If the joke is gonna work.
I remember when I was sending out emails to a lot of venues and stuff for the showcase we did a while back. I described Hamill as the world's youngest 78-year-old man.
That's accurate.
Because everything is like, fucking sucks. I don't fucking just bullshit. Fuck, you know.
But it's funny because he acts like that, but he's a nice ass guy. Though.
Oh, he's the nicest guy in the world. Like he's
super nice.
He's the super like he's an awesome dude. It's just funny. Like you think that he's gonna be a dick. He's just kind of grumpy, you know. And they're like, But man, the stuff that he's been putting out lately has been pretty awesome. Yeah.
And that's people. Say it again. Well, I'm saying all of that goes into a successful comedic act. The jokes, the writing, and your persona, and your confidence on stage. All that plays into how well a joke would do. Because you can tell a joke with no confidence, and then tell a joke confidence, and you'll see the difference in it.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you ever get somebody that you don't know and try to give you a tag?
Yeah, I accept advice from anybody and everybody because I'm not the type of I know I don't have it figured out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody's different. So I always tell people, man, if you got anything to tell me, let me know. I'm not that type of dude you can't say anything about because if I have a tag for you, I'm going to give it to you. I always, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I love comedy. I love to watch it because I don't care who you are. I don't care what level you at. I can learn something from you. I can learn what not to do or I can learn you might do something I've never seen before. So I love sitting down. I love watching people. Because I want to see everybody get better. Right. You know, like I love the fact that I've been around Denver comedy for 3 years now. And I've seen people go from terrible to where they're good now. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome to see a person develop like that. And so I'm always open to anybody that has, hey, man, I got this. You know, so I don't know you, but this would be a good tag. Cool. Let me try it out. And I'll try it.
There was this guy that I never met. I've never seen before anywhere in the scene, but... it was at Devon's and stuff. He's like, hey, you know what? Something might he wasn't being a dick about it. He was just like, hey, something you might think about. What about this instead of that? I'm like, oh, that's really cool, man. I'll give it a shot. Thank you so much. And I meant that, but there was also a part of me that was like, fuck this guy, you know. And it was weird because I'm like, oh, hey, Ego, I haven't heard from you for a bit. Okay. But yeah, every now and then
I try. You never know, but like I would say 90% of the tags people have given me have worked.
Yeah, it was a great tag that he gave me. I was just pissed that I didn't think of it first. I'm like, God damn it, you know.
Yeah, sometimes it is like shit. I should have thought of that.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I already got it on video. That's my shit now. I'm like, God damn, yeah. But so I didn't know you had a radio that you were doing a radio show, man. What the fuck was this? Like,
man, so did a show out in Houston. So my manager, her name's Lorraine Martinez. the CEO of 5280 Entertainment. She produces a lot of shows. She helps me out with a lot of professional stuff on the comedic side. And so she had a link out there in Houston with this lady named Denise Lopez, and we went out there, and she runs a radio station called All World Radio, and it's based out of Houston, but it's the app, so you can get it, worldwide.
Right.
And we went out there, we did a show, and they liked us so much. And I actually went out there with it was me, LeRae, and Il7, which is a hip hop artist out here, dope hip hop artist out here in Denver. And we had such a great chemistry. She was up there like, would you guys like to do a show on the radio? And we was up there like, yeah, we can do that. And so we've been doing it for about a month and a half now, and we actually we record the audio version. We sent it to her. It gets played on Sunday nights from 9 to 11. And then we also stream live on Twitch. And it's also a YouTube page. If you go to We Are Denver, you can check out all of our podcasts.
Holy
podcast / radio station.
Yeah, if you got a link, man, I'll put it on the DCPN page if you want.
Okay, definitely.
Wow, that's really cool, man. I had no idea about that. A month and a half, okay. I thought it was like, I've been doing this for a year and a half. Like, nobody knew.
It's fairly new, man. And it's actually, we just got our numbers. For a month and a half, we have on average 3,000 listeners, which is
badass.
Fairly good. They already had a audience built in, so we just kind of siphoned off of them. But, it's
to retain it, that's really good. That says a lot, though, man.
So it's pretty entertainment, and then so we do an hour and a half of talk, then we do an hour and a half of music. So
that sounds pretty badass. Yeah, we were. I've been trying to evolve the podcast and stuff, hence like the video stuff that we're doing, trying to get involved in Twitch, which, man, I thought I felt old before until I started going, like, looking around on Twitch. I'm like, God, what am I? No, I'm 20 years older than the average user, at least.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, somebody's got to listen to this.
The internet is opening up the world so where you can become rich and famous without leaving your home.
Apparently, man, this Vince was from Deathmatch Radio 1. He's got like close to 10,000 followers and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, what do you do? Like, he just plays video games and people watch him because he's really good at it.
The dude, what's his name? PewDiePie. Yeah. Got 50 million subscribers, and that's what he does. He plays video. He started out just playing video games online, and people thought he's really the one. Well, I ain't gonna say he's the one, but he's the first one I seen that started doing that. So he kind of got to get on the ground floor on YouTube doing that. And dude's $1 million now for that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Even with the Wall Street Journal fucking with him.
He's annoying as shit. That's the thing about it. I'm like, let me see what this dude doing, man. I went over there. I respect his hustle, but I'm like, I can't listen to this dude's annoying, man. But people love him, though, man.
It's probably the same thing when you get to a certain age and nothing on the radio seems like it makes sense anymore. Like, I got to that age. I'm 41 years old. I still have to force myself to want to listen to new music. Because I don't want to be like my parents that apparently when they were like 21 years old, they decided to shut off the radio and they never listened to anything new after that.
Well, that's the way a lot of older people are. They just like, my age was the best age. I'm not listening to this new stuff. Yeah. We're just becoming our parents to where we don't want to hear this young shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how do you feel about the whole YouTube sensation? These people that's just popping out of nowhere.
On one hand, I'm like, wow, that's really cool because I want to be like, okay, how can I learn something from what they're doing and then use it because I'm trying to get this show out there and stuff. And so there's that aspect where I'm inspired by it. And then when I see that a YouTube star is booked at a comedy club or something like that, that's when the rage and anger starts to take over. Man, but bitterness comes in, and this is not useful at all. I know it's not useful, but it's
understandable. Anybody that is a comic dude, just wait. If you look at the improv schedule, they have special events for these YouTube dudes, and they're coming there to do comedy. People that have never done comedy before, and I'm just like, it's kind of a slap in the face to comics that have. And I'm not saying if that's your hustle, that's your hustle.
Hey, if they're going to draw, they deserve to be there. Yeah.
Respect the art. Go out to some open mics. Get good before you go on stage because really all you're doing is you collect the money. And you got people. You already have this built-in audience. They're going to buy tickets. They're going to come, and they're going to think that's comedy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And that's not comedy. You're just really up there talking like you would do on a video. Like I did a show with one. It's this little kid. I can't remember his name. He puts on a bunny costume and he just sings songs. That's it.
Okay.
And did a show. His tickets were $45 a piece, which pissed me off because D.L. Hughley D.L. Hughley was in town. His tickets, I think, were $30.
Right.
So I'm like, you pulling in more than D.L. Hughley, the king of comedy,
the guy who taught himself to read in jail. And
I was hosting. We had a feature, and the dude literally sung about 6 songs and left. Yep, and we had to fill the rest of the time. Crowd packed. Damn. Came out to see him, yeah. Because they're already a built-in audience. They're already fans because they've subscribed to his YouTube channel, and that's the way the clubs are thinking. They're thinking like, oh, you got 1 million followers, so we can pack the place if you got 1 million followers. Some of those people I got to be out here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm sure you could at least fill up 200, right?
And so I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, that's diluting the game. And I don't blame the YouTube people because they're just trying to make money. I blame the bookers that are booking these people, knowing that they aren't ready, that they're just trying to grab that quick dollar off of their notoriety.
What do you think would be a good way for a booker to kind of handle that? So, I mean, it's not that if it's entertainment, I think it deserves to be on whatever stage. But it's kind of like, should that be the headliner, or should it be like, hey man, or make a night of it where you have like,
well, the headline's gonna always be the person that can sell the most tickets.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, and they can sell tickets, so it's like I don't really know a way around it because, like I said, I understand the business aspect of it. You have to fill the seats. You can't just want to be this comedians club and you're just putting comedians there no one's coming to see because it takes a long time for you to be a comedian and actually have an audience,
right?
So, and I think a lot of comedians, they started out doing open mics and doing it the right way,
right.
And then they try to switch over to the internet and it's just kind of foreign and you kind of get lost. I haven't seen one successful comedian that went from the stage to the internet. I see plenty of them to go from the internet to the stage, but I don't see vice versa unless you're like a big name,
right?
Then even then, like I see someone like Mike Epps and stuff like that. Like his social media following isn't that big, but he's a huge star.
Right.
Because he started out in the clubs, but then he tried to come over to social media because it came after him. But like even he doesn't have a big following. It's like if you didn't get in the ground floor, if you didn't start out doing that, it's like it's hard to break into it.
I see a lot of comics, especially around Denver. Like I could tell when you're kind of working out ideas and thoughts and stuff. It's usually sometime around between 10 and 2 in the morning.
That's when that works.
By the way, so if you follow, was it just at Anthony Armstrong?
Yeah, Anthony Armstrong.
Okay, if you want to know what his thought process is like, follow him at Twitter at Anthony Armstrong. And about from 10 to 2 in the morning, we're like, hey, you ever come so hard that you pass out? Stuff like that. And I'm like, but that's close. But
that's part of my thought process. What I do is I'll say something just that crazy to see what people's reaction is to it, and then I'll take and what I put isn't typically a joke, but it'll lead into a joke. It'll be an idea of a joke, and I'll usually take the responses that people give me, and that usually becomes the joke.
Right. What's so weird is it's almost like, especially like in the morning, I'll look on Facebook. I'm like, all right, let's see, is this going to be a drama-free day today? What's going on? Because I don't get involved in any of that, but I still kind of like just to check in to see what's going on. And it's almost like comics are doing like their morning workout. They're stretching before they get out of the house, and they're just like, "Hey, did you ever notice this?" And they got all these one-liners from various comics and stuff. I'm like, I just need to warm up, get up before I go outside and go to work.
A little sparring that's in the morning.
Exactly, just a little jab. What I mean?
I will say this about the internet. This is one thing I hate. What a lot of these YouTube stars are doing is they'll watch old comedy series and they'll take jokes and they'll create videos around those jokes and then they'll try to make it seem like they came up with the idea. Ooh. I've seen it a lot. A couple of people have gotten in trouble on the internet about that. The dude, Fat Jew.
Oh, yeah.
He was just taking everybody's stuff. And granted, like the dude was in the scene for a long time before he became the Fat Jew that everybody knows.
Yeah.
He was around comedy, this, that, and the other. But still, like, that makes it even worse because you should know, man, just tag a dude, hey, I got this from this page.
Yeah.
Instead of having people think you're the one that's coming up with all this content when you're not.
Yeah. I think because he was doing, like, tours and stuff with that, wasn't he? Or?
Yeah, that dude is huge. He had a TV show, everything. Because he has, 10 million Instagram followers? That's it. That's all you need is followers to be famous. You don't need any skill. Back in the day, somebody put this on Facebook, a friend of mine. She said you just have to be a triple threat. You just have to write, act, sing, be fun. You had to do everything to make it in Hollywood. Now, all you need is a viral video.
Yeah.
You get any viral video, and somebody will come and say, hey, I'll pay you $20,000 to host this party. Wow. Like, these people are getting paid $20,000 to host parties, man. It's ridiculous. And I ain't trying to hate, but it's just like, come on. Because because it's like this. If you're going to do that, do it to where you have some type of longevity. You know what I'm saying? If you see you're getting that attention, try to develop yourself into something, and not just because it's going. You're a fad now.
Yeah.
You'll be around for a couple months, and you'll be out of here, and the next guy will step in and take your place.
Maybe, and I think if that's all they want to do, want to be and stuff, I guess that's fine. I get, you know what I mean? But there's some of us, that kind of have had that desire for a long time to really, work hard for something and, be the type of performer that we want to be. And then you had to see somebody kind of cut the line, get the spot that you've been, hoping for, and then, like, don't even give a shit about and then leave.
Exactly.
Like, what? Hey, dickhead. Like,
that's the thing. They don't respect the grind that it takes to get to the level that they just are thrust into. And I think that's a lot. Today, it just seems like these newer comics, these newer people, musicians, everybody, they don't respect, like, the people that came before them. Mm-hmm. They feel like they're doing all this stuff and it's new. And I'm like, no, people have done this long before you, but you haven't took the time out to check the history and the lineage of what you're doing, and you don't have a respect for it.
Yeah, it's, I think I put this one, I think it was like a tweet a while back. I was and Harrison Garcia is like, oh, I'll just say it. I go, it seems like musical history is the only history that anybody pays attention to, because usually like musicians and stuff, they will listen to them like, oh, okay, like if you're a rocker, you've listened from everything like Led Zeppelin all the way up to AC/DC and saw the different things. Like if you're a hip hop artist and stuff, I mean, I can't imagine like hip hop artists now is like not knowing, like going back to Run DMC or even
Joe. They don't give a fuck about them, man. It's a lot of these new cats out here. They like fuck Tupac, fuck Biggie, fuck Rakim, fuck Prodigy, fuck all these dudes, man. I'm the new dude, and I'm like, Joe, and you can see it in their music. Right. Their music has absolutely no substance to it. Mm-hmm. It's just something that's gonna make you dance. Don't get me wrong, it's catchy as hell. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it's like there's nothing behind the music, to whereas hip hop used to be a way to tell a story. Right. You know what I'm saying? It handed down information to the next generation that was needed. Mm-hmm. To whereas now it's just we went from being the drug pushers and telling people don't do this because you'll land in jail or you'll die, to the drug users. Now it's this culture of popping pills and drinking lean and stuff like that, and I don't understand it. I'm like, when did it become cool to be a drug addict? Don't get me wrong, I know drugs have always been around, but it's something you did at a party. It's something you kept under wraps. It wasn't something that you glorified and say, yeah, I pop pills, I pop Percocets, boo boo. And that's most of the music you hear in the hip hop industry now.
There was something that was kind of like back in the 90s, the whole heroin chic thing, which I never understood that, because I'm like, I thought we all agreed that heroin was bad for you. And then it's just like fashion's like, oh, look, everybody looks like they're strung on heroin. Isn't that awesome? Like, maybe if you're a musician, maybe, because apparently heroin does great things if you're a musician, but it'll still kill you by the age of 27.
I do believe there are mind-expanding drugs, right? Like marijuana, LSD, mushrooms. Yeah, those are mind-expanding drugs, to where you take those and you just like, your mind is in outer space. Right. And then, it gives you a whole nother avenue to create things you wouldn't normally create. But drugs like heroin and meth and shit like that, no.
Well, this is a weird thing. Okay, like, and I'll occasionally get in conversations where I understand why folks don't agree with me, because it's not a popular opinion. But if I look at, like, Alice in Chains, or especially the music that came out of Seattle back in the 90s for the most part, or even if they look at, like, particular jazz musicians, stuff like that, how many were on? And I'm not being an advocate for heroin, because it's a freaking, especially for people that get hooked on pills and they lose their whole lives and shit. It's horrible, but it's weird that so many really distinct, interesting musicians, that's one of the things that they were all using, or they all fell victim to. I would say. Well,
this is what I've learned since I've been doing comedy, and since I work with Lorraine Martinez, because she mostly deals with musicians. And so I've been rolling in her circles and been rolling in the musician circles. Yeah, that's just the culture. That drug culture is there. That they do drugs casually. That's just how you go to a party and it's cocaine out and tape. Just like, you know what I'm saying, I'm from the hood. That shit don't happen. It may be some weed, but they ain't giving it to you. You can bring your own weed. They ain't finna just give you some weed. But you go to these parties, man, it's literally like fucking ecstasy, cocaine, shit just out there for you, because that's just, it's a norm for them. It's just accepted as what it is. But like I say, that was something that it was done at parties. It was kept hush-hush. But now it's like people are so egotistical. Everything they do, they want to just put it out there. It's like nobody keeps anything secret anymore. Nobody does anything for just a memory. Yeah. You know, everything is just to be seen now. Yeah. You know, it's like people, you go to these shows and like how Dave Chappelle have people lock their phones up, because they'll be more concerned about capturing what he's doing than actually looking at him and paying attention. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just completely disregard the performance and having a memory to relive. You just want to put it on Facebook and say, "Ooh, look what I did."
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I remember there's times where, like, I forgot I was going to try to record something, but the battery was too low, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm just going to have to remember this then. Okay,
yeah.
And just put the phone in the pocket.
So I guess I got to use my brain.
Yep, all right. Yeah. Well, man, this has been so fucking awesome. Thanks for being on this show. Where can folks find you on social media?
Social media, everything is Armstrong Comedy. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's Twitter. You can check out my radio station. Go to boombaptrix.com. That will give you a rundown of everything. We also have the shows listed on there if you want to check them out. You know what I'm saying? Take a listen. If you don't like it, never listen to it again. But I promise you'll see. If you actually pay attention, you'll see some stuff. We talk about some pretty deep stuff. You know, it's funny too, but we hit on some social issues and community issues, all sorts of stuff. You know?
Yeah, I got to check it out then. Yeah. Absolutely. And guys, don't forget to follow me at the DCPN on Twitter or denvercomedy.net. That's the home of the Denver Comedy Podcast Network. That's where you find great podcasts like Left Hand Right Brain, like Broadcast Geeks, and all stuff, a bunch of cool stuff. It's all free. Check it out. And thanks for listening. So signing off for the DisJointed Podcast, I'm Dave Germain.
I'm Anthony Armstrong. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a great week.